bloggercancelled.com. Today I'm excited to be here with some of my favorite bloggers from Western Canada, and we're going to be answering some questions that we get all the time. This is Lindy from Love Create Celebrate. We've got Christy from Making It in the Mountains, and Christina from the DIY Mummy. We have 4 different questions that we're taking on, and we're going to put them all in a playlist for you below so you can hop around and check those out. And this video is going to be all about how to make money blogging and the reality behind that for us. We are here on a girls' weekend in Jasper, and we were talking about all the things that we get asked all the time, and we thought it would be really fun to do a collab and put it together on YouTube for you guys so you can get to know us a little bit better and to kind of break down some of those walls between viewer and blogger. Before we get into money, I just kind of want to hear your guys' blogging story. When did you get started? How did you get started? And what were your goals in starting blogging? How did you get here?
My blog started more as just for fun. So it was when I had to quit my web design business and my graphic design business because it was just too much when I had a newborn, too many commitments. And when my daughter was 6 months old, I really felt the need to have another creative outlet. And since I had the skills already to do web design and things, I thought a blog would be the perfect thing to do. So I just wanted to make stuff and write about it, and it was just for fun. And since then, it's become a full-time career, just over the years.
And you started how long ago?
9 years.
So Christina has been blogging forever.
I'm like a senior citizen in the blogging world.
I'm trying to compute how many years I've been blogging, and I think it's 4. I started when we lived 12 hours away from the rest of our family. And so it was sort of just a way that we had bought this new house, and we were hoping to do a bunch of, not renovations, but things to it. And we wanted to be able to share with everyone, and that just seemed like an easy way to do it. And I had no idea blogging was a career or something you could do to make money. Like it was just something I did to share with my family.
I'm the same as yours. Like I just started, I had moved away and I lived in different provinces with my family and stuff. And I think I started 3 years ago, but I just did it because I wanted to share what I was making with my mom. Basically, it was like several provinces away. And I don't know, other people were looking at it, and all of a sudden I was like, oh look, people are looking at this random little website I started, and I had no idea people made money blogging. Like I really had no clue when I started.
I knew people made money blogging, but that wasn't my goal. I didn't want to do that. I was pregnant with my twins, and I was put on bed rest fairly early, and I was bored. I went from working 3 jobs to doing nothing, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to go back to working contract work like I was working, and I had previously started businesses that I didn't like, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to start a blog, I'm going to write about it while I'm on mat leave, and then when I'm off mat leave, I'm going to decide what I didn't hate writing about for a year, and I'll start a business doing that. That'll be great. And then by the end of that year, people had started to ask me to contribute. But I went back to work for a little bit, and it just was too much to do both, and I decided I can stay home with my kids, I can try to put some time into this and make this my new job. But that took like a couple years before I hit that. So when did it change to a business for you guys? When did it go from being a fun hobby or some way to share some things to being like, okay, this is a business? What was that switch?
For me, it was oh boy, it was about 5 years after I started. So it was quite a while after I started when we started building our house, and I had seen other bloggers get sponsorships from businesses to give them products to do their DIYs and things. I thought, I should try that, why not? So I approached a bunch of brands, and they agreed to give us tons of material for our home. So we saved like thousands of money building our home from these brands giving us. And then later I learned, oh, the brands can give you stuff, plus they can pay you for sharing this stuff. So it was about, I started the blog in 2009, I started making money in about 2014, and then 2015, 2016, I started making like a full-time income from the blog.
I honestly think the switch for me wasn't that long ago. It was fairly recent. I was working, I had another job for a long time. I had a couple mat leaves, and that's when I sort of started putting effort into the blog when I was at home with my kids. Like you said, I needed that sort of creative outlet, and I started doing more. And then recently, things happened with my daycare and other things personally that just caused me to say, never mind, I'm going to stay at home with my kids now. And I don't think it was till after that when I was like, I'm going to put some push into this and make it a business, because even before I considered it like a hobby when I had this other real job.
Yeah,
Right?
It was like a side hustle.
Yeah, it was just a hobby.
Yeah. I think for me it was, I ended up stumbling into this amazing group of bloggers that were somewhere at the same stage as me and somewhere well above me and further along the journey. And I feel like people just started lifting me up and opening my eyes to the opportunities that this career could bring to our lives. And then we bought this house that, like, our first fixer-upper. We had always had new houses, and this was our first fixer-upper where we actually had to do some work. But we weren't really in a position to be, just move in and renovate the whole house with a contractor. And it's just started to evolve. Like, I had people lifting me up and showing me the way, and I just took advantage of all those opportunities and turned them into what I needed them to be. So, yeah.
Mine changed not into a blogging business until not very long ago. Same thing. I started in 2013, and when I decided not to go back, I was working contract work, so it's not like I was making that much money anyways, but I thought, okay, if I can make the difference between what I would pay in daycare and what I would make at work, which is like $200, like, you don't make that much money above paying for daycare for 2 babies, let me tell you. And I'm like, if I can do that in a month, that would be great. So I started doing kind of social media help for businesses, because I'm like, well, now I know how to schedule social media. That's something I'm really great at. I can help them with their images. So that's when I started making money, and I didn't switch to doing things with my own blog until I was pregnant again. I'm like, this is so stressful being on other people's timelines, and if I'm going to be home, I can't be doing all this. So I decided that I'd just take a step back and see where it went. And so how have you made money over the years? What are the different things that you've tried and done? And
so I think blogging is such an interesting career because it's constantly evolving the ways that you can make money blogging. And for me, it's not just blogging anymore. It's a whole bunch of different avenues. So I make money through sponsored posts on the blog, is still my biggest source of income, through pay-per-click ads on the blog, and also through affiliate links on the blog. So that's when you post a link and people buy stuff from the link and you get a percentage. And then now with YouTube, that's a whole other avenue. So I'm getting paid for pay-per-click ads on YouTube, sponsorships on YouTube videos, and other things like speaking engagements, products, like a pillow line, stuff like that. So I think for blogging, you have to be really open to all sorts of avenues if you want to be successful.
And I've heard it said too that your blog is kind of like your home base,
right? And
it's a springboard to do the other things that could bring in income. It's not necessarily like, oh, I have to
the end all.
Yeah, exactly. It's really a door opener.
Yeah, I agree.
The same as Christina. Like, the biggest thing for me has been sponsored posts and some really great partnerships with brands. And I make money from the ads on my website. I'm just branching out to YouTube, so that is not necessarily a source of income for me, but
it will be.
And it's a really fun avenue to explore, because I think it's a new branch of things that I can bring to brands as well. So even if it's not necessarily YouTube that I'm making money on, I feel like it's opening up some opportunities with brands and sponsorships. So yeah.
And for me, it's the same sort of base things, and I'm just at the point now where I'm starting to think about how I want to branch out of the blog. Like, people do write various ebooks or real books, or people, branch into speaking engagements and different things where they make new forms of income or shops that they have. And so I haven't really pushed out that boundary yet, but I'm at the point where I'm wondering which avenue I want to go in and sort of exploring that.
I feel like maybe I was a little bit more creative in how to make income, because my traffic was not huge, and so I thought, hey, why not try these other things? And so I've done managing social media for brands, and I've done managing blogger programs for brands. I've done writing as small businesses, so I wrote a couple wedding blogs for a while as their business, and I feel like I've done a lot of different things as I'm kind of like, oh, I'll try that, sure, I'll try it. And if it doesn't work out, it's okay, let's try something else. And
that all evolved from just starting this little blog.
I had a printable shop on Etsy for a little while. And then after I started blogging for money, mostly it was guest posts on other people's sites and contributor posts on other people's sites. That was my first taste of, oh my gosh, I can make a little bit of pocket change. Now I have an e-course that I sell on brush lettering, and I have another e-course on idea generation as well.
So you're a jack of all trades.
Yeah, and I have a store where I sell things. I just feel like I try it all. But my biggest is as well sponsored work and then ad income. How do you balance making money with authenticity?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think blogging has evolved so much now that people are finally kind of accepting that there's sponsorships and like readers are accepting sponsored posts more. But I think it is our responsibility to write about things that we're truly passionate about products that we truly love, that we truly would use. I think that is really, really important. And I think people can probably see right through bloggers and vloggers that share things that they don't truly believe in.
I think that it's hard too when you start blogging, because I know when I started I was just like, someone wants to pay me to write about whatever, X, Y, Z, sure. But now that I've sort of found my niche more and found my vision and my brand, there's definitely things that I will, there's money opportunities, but I'm like, oh, that doesn't really fit with what I would actually use at home, so I have to say no to that.
I think the most important thing to me, the thing that's always driving, or at least in the background of all of my sponsored anything, is that my readers trust me and my word counts for something, and I don't want to lose that. I don't like it. I've purchased things because friends have recommended them, and I want to be that friend that recommends to my audiences, and I want it to be genuine.
You don't want them to be disappointed.
No. On that note too, there's been a couple of times where I've had like sponsored content on my blog and then use their product or use something that I thought was going to be great and then was disappointed or didn't. And that's a struggle too, because you have to, I'm not going to lie to my readers. Like that's just, and so I have to go back to people and say, well, this was my experience and this is what I'm willing to do, but I can't, I can't say that I liked this or that it worked easily or what X, Y, Z.
And sometimes they come to you and say, we're not comfortable with you sharing that, so just scrap it, right? And I'm okay with that.
Me too.
Scrap.
Yeah.
I actually just the other day I was going back and forth with a brand and they wanted me to write about this, and I'm like, this is actually a really great topic. This is something I was going to write about anyways, which for me is immediately like, great fit. I already had that post in mind. But then they didn't want to provide the service. And I don't feel comfortable recommending something unless I've tried it and I know that I like it. If I'm not going to tell a friend about it, I'm not going to tell
bad
about it, right? What is the biggest challenge in regards to blogging as a business that you've had, specifically in making money in blogging?
I think for me the biggest challenge was what I said before, was having those sponsorships that if it doesn't turn out the way I envisioned it or hoped that it would. I think that provides, because it's again, being authentic with my readers and being authentic to myself and my home, and I don't want to promote a product that I didn't like or that didn't work properly or that's in a store I wouldn't shop at or whatever. And so learning about that balance, because at first as a new blogger you just want to do it.
You're so excited. Now I think for me, if I'm thinking about the business side of blogging, it's money management, because sometimes it's like most businesses, like it's most entrepreneurial endeavors, you're gonna have seasons where you have lots of income and you're gonna have seasons where you have hardly any income. And with blogging, it's so all over the place, because like around Christmas time you're gonna be raking in the cash from affiliate sales and sponsorships, and then in January you're gonna make $5 that month, right? So it's like learning how to manage that income, especially if you're using it to provide for your family.
Or where to invest, like reinvest some of that income into that's always tricky too.
I find that tricky.
So I think for me, it's really important to me that I don't feel like I'm coming off as I'm selling something to my readers.
It's hard.
I don't want to be, my blog is not an advertisement for people that I'm working with. It's me genuinely sharing things from my life, from my home.
In a natural way.
It's genuine, it's organic, it's my life, right? And I don't want my blog to become an advertisement for somebody else.
a struggle.
It is a big struggle.
Yeah, I would say for me, the communication and managing expectations, not just from your readers who we love and we want to meet their needs, for the amount of time that we put into it, like we have to see some sort of monetary return or else we can't put that time in. And also from brands who want you to post like their logo and this infographic and this, that, because it's like, hey, I value my readers and I know as a reader, I don't want to see that. I don't want to be sold to. And kind of managing that and in contracts and trying to know, I mean, we want to think the best of everything and that it's all going to work out. But in reality, like we have to read contracts and try to put in, okay, I'm going to do this many photos, and no, I'm not going to do a photo in the store that I don't shop at. No, I'm like, and you have to be really, it's a business, and that's hard.
You have to stay true to yourself, and I think that can be really hard because brands do have expectations and how their money's being spent, right?
Which is fair.
Which is absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely, but we need to juggle. First of all, I feel like I know my audience best. I pay really close attention to what they respond to and what they like, and I try to give out good content that they can relate to. I feel like I'm the expert of my audience. And so I want to make sure I'm staying true to myself and giving my audience what they need while still giving the brand what they're expecting, right? So.
What's one thing that worked really well or that you want to focus on more?
For me, it's been video. So I started writing tutorials on my blog 9 years ago, and now within the last 3 years, I started building my YouTube channel. And I never ever would have thought that would have been something that I would focus on or something that did well for me, because I feel like I'm very self-conscious of how I speak and sometimes how I look and stuff. And there's so many younger people on YouTube and such a different audience. But it's been such a cool thing to try, and I think there's a really big audience on YouTube ready to see some more home decor and DIY, like real life stuff that's not on HGTV, that's more raw on YouTube, and it's been really, really exciting, and I've been able to get lots of brand interest in YouTube and video and stuff like that, so I think that's something that I have been successful with over the last couple years that I want to keep growing.
I do know I've talked to you guys about this, I've got this vision for where I want to take my blog this year, and I'm really clear about it. It's been a while since I feel like I have been, so I'm really excited to make some changes and to really hone where my blog is going this year. So
we talked about that a lot because we're both sort of in that where I was saying I've just sort of found a vision and changed some things about my blog and changed some things about what I'm sharing, and I'm really happy with where it is right now and just trying to see where I want to branch further from there.
I think a lot of that is trial and error because you don't really know what's going to work for you until you do it and until people respond. Like when I started my blog, I wanted to make baby clothes, right? And now I'm doing decor videos because people love them.
At one time in life, I posted a recipe.
We were happy to be talking about how yummy it was last night.
I would say for me, one thing that I've always focused on that's worked really well for me is the teaching aspect of blogging. If I'm going to post a tutorial, I want to give detailed photos and instructions and avoid this because I did that. And that's always worked really well for me. I didn't mention actually that I do workshops as well, and that brings in some income because I've just tried it all. I just like to try it all. But one thing that I want to focus more on is not necessarily the teaching, but the sharing, because I've had a hard time with home decor being like, well, how can I share that? That's just an idea, right? So how can I break that into more posts, but just to let you guys in more on my thought process, and you guys have really inspired me to do that with here's my vision for the room, okay, here's my update, and I've always been like, no, unless it's finished and done and I can do the whole start to finish in one post, I'm not going to do it. So that's something that I like to focus more on. All right, so my question for you guys, now that this is done, if you were a blogger, what's the one thing that you found either challenging or that has helped you to your success? And if you are not a blogger, what's one thing that you didn't know from this video? Hopefully you learned something new about us. I hope that you guys liked this video. If you did, please make sure to hit that thumbs up button, and you can subscribe to my channel for more DIY and decor videos. And I hope that you subscribe to all of us and you enjoy all of our videos. Check out the playlist for the rest of these Q&A style videos. We have one on authenticity in blogging, home decor, finding your home decor style, and managing work-life balance while you're working from home. See you guys next time.
Done!
It did charge enough, it seems.
YouTube. Let's do YouTube. YouTube.
Be authentic.
No pressure, be authentic.